minutes before we begin. That's fair. That's customary for us here. So we'll begin at 6:05 approximately. All right. All right, ladies and gents, if we could all be seated so we can begin. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the City of Boynton Beach City Commission meeting. This meeting is called to order. Today is Tuesday, November 19th, 2024, and the time is now 6:04 p.m. Before we proceed, I just want to remind everyone of our rules of civility and decorum. First and foremost, speakers must be addressed by the chair and not interrupt any other speakers. Second, public comments must be addressed through the chair for the whole body, address the whole body as a board, not to any particular individual here on the dais or in the audience. Personal attacks, insults are strictly prohibited. Disruptive behaviors, stamping, yelling, whistling, all strictly prohibited. Should you violate these rules, you may be provided a warning, and should it persist, you may be asked to leave these chambers. We're going to turn now to our city clerk to begin our roll call, after which we'll begin the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Maylee, if you could please begin.
Mayor Penserga.
Here.
Vice Mayor Kelly.
Here.
Commissioner Cruz.
Here.
Commissioner Hay.
Here.
Commissioner Turkin is absent. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you so much, Maylee. We're going to move on to the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Here this evening we have Reverend Emily Ash from First Presbyterian of Boynton. Thank you. And after which the pledge of allegiance to the flag will be led by Commissioner Angela Cruz. Let's all stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Let us prepare our hearts. We lift our prayers to you, God, for this city, its leaders, staff, and citizens. We are gathered here tonight to help our community handle the challenges of providing the citizens with safe neighborhoods and the amenities that provide all people opportunity. May we gather in peace. May we gather in respect. May we gather in understanding. Lord, keep us safe and give us hope in our troubled world. Know that we seek all these things in all our prayers that we bring that are on our heart to you, God. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Pastor Ash, and thank you, Commissioner Cruz. The next portion of the agenda is agenda approval, additions, deletions, or correction. I'm going to begin on my left with Commissioner Hay, if you have any requests.
No, I do not have any at this time.
All right, thank you. Vice Mayor?
No, thank you, Mayor. I do not have anything to add.
Okay, and Commissioner Cruz?
No, Mayor, as well.
As for myself, I just have one very minor request, but an important one at that. I'd like to request an addition of allocation of $500 in my community support funds to the city's Holiday Basket Initiative. All right, so if we could add that to the list. Other than that, nothing else from me. Thank you so much, everybody. May I have a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Let's move on now to informational items by members of the City Commission, beginning now on my right, Commissioner Cruz.
Yes, the only informational item I have is I attended the National League of Cities Conference this weekend in Tampa, Florida. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Vice Mayor.
No, I have no disclosures. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hay.
Oh, I too attended the National League of Cities, and I want to say how helpful that organization has been to so many cities, all of our cities in Palm Beach County, and especially Boynton Beach. We have picked up a lot of great ideas. This past session in Tampa was the 100th year anniversary, and they went overboard with the celebration in terms of all the information and the celebration that they had. And they had a group, maybe some of you recognize it, called the Temptations. And, you know, I could have participated, but I chose not to. So that's it, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Moving on to the next portion of the agenda is 3A. This is a proclamation for Alzheimer's Awareness Month. This proclamation was requested by Commissioner Cruz, and so I'm going to ask Commissioner Cruz if she could present this and read it into the record. And I just want to confirm, do we have David Lopez in the audience to accept the proclamation? Excellent. All right, Commissioner Cruz.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas nearly 7 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's, whereas Palm Beach County ranks in the top 10 in the U.S. for the largest number of people living with Alzheimer's, an estimated 51,600 people. Whereas more than 840,000 Floridians serve as caregivers for someone with Alzheimer's. Whereas 1 in 3 older Americans dies with Alzheimer's or another form of dementia. It kills more than breast cancer and prostate cancer combined. Whereas the City of Boynton Beach recognizes the efforts of the Alzheimer's Association to highlight early detection and diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease and other dementias, education, support, and research, thereby improving the financial, physical, and emotional health for those living with Alzheimer's disease and their caregivers. Now, therefore, I, Angela Cruz, City Commissioner, and
Ty Pensurga, Mayor of Boynton Beach, Florida.
of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim November as Alzheimer Awareness Month.
All right, thank you so much. Let's give them a round of applause. Yeah, you want to come down together? Let's do that.
You coming? You want us down?
Yeah, let's do the picture. Danny's is fine here.
How about right in the middle? Go,
No, you're
I'll
in the
go.
middle. Okay, I'm about to work you guys.
Ready, 1, 2, 3. Ready, 1, 2, 3. One more, 1, 2, 3.
Here you go. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody here, the City of Boynton Beach, really leading the way in this amazing support. As Commissioner Cruz mentioned, so many people are impacted here in Palm Beach County. We have 51,600 individuals living with Alzheimer's disease, and so many people who care for them are also involved in this. So as a community, to have this support is invaluable. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is an announcement. In partnership with, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, Ali's Lemonade Stand, Community Foundation, First Impressions Preschool, J&R Funding, and Pathways to Prosperity, the Boynton Beach Fire Rescue Department will distribute 1,000 Thanksgiving meals. That's right, 1,000 Thanksgiving meals to community members in need. Together, we will be handing out 1,000 turkeys, along with all the fixings needed to make a complete Thanksgiving dinner. In addition to the turkey distribution, the department will also be providing free smoke alarms, carbon monoxide detectors, and fire extinguishers to support household safety this holiday season. This year, distribution will be done drive-through style to ensure convenience and safety for everyone. The event will take place Saturday, November 23rd. That's this Saturday, right? Yes, it is. This Saturday, November 23rd at 10 a.m. at Izell Hester Center, 1901 North Seacrest Boulevard, Boynton Beach, Florida. The event will run until all the meals and fire safety items are distributed. It is first come, first serve. It says here, let's make this Thanksgiving season one of generosity and community spirit. Happy Thanksgiving from Boynton Beach Fire Rescue and our local business partners. So thank you to all of the partners involved in making that happen. 1,000 meals, 1,000 turkeys. That is phenomenal. Thank you so much, you guys. The next item here is present runner-ups award to Water Treatment and Water Quality Team for Best Tasting Water Contest for Southeast Florida Region. 6. Dr. Calcat, if you could come up and tell us a little bit more about that, and so we can present the award. And if you're part of the team, please do join Dr. Calcat.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. This is like one of the things that I love doing. It's with great pleasure that I want to acknowledge and actually applaud the team that makes this happen. So the city participated in the annual water tasting competition that we have for Southeast Florida utilities. It's called Region 6 of Florida, section of AWWA, that's American Water Works Association. And there are almost 17 participants, correct? There were 17 utilities that participated in this, and we got the runners-up award, and we lost it by 1 point. So we're really, really close, and this is the team that makes it happen. I want to invite them and introduce them, and then if the mayor and commissioners can come in and give this award to the team, I'd really appreciate it. Brian Heller, he is the Division Director for Water Quality and Water Treatment. Juan Manzano, he's the Division Director for Environmental Compliance. Bill Newsom, he is the Chief Operator for East Water Treatment Plant.
Yes.
And Fort Babcock, he is the Chief Operator for the West Water Treatment Plant. And Denise Ramos, she is the Water Quality Lab Supervisor. Can I request the mayor to come down and...
Absolutely. So, Dr. Calcat, I actually want to ask one thing. So before we proceed, because we have another group here that needs to be recognized, I figured let's recognize them at the same time. So
Sure.
Let me call them up, and then we'll give the awards at the same time. And I do want to hear from both groups. So the next item on the agenda, item 3E, is to recognize our Boynton Beach Police Department's emergency field force. They were critical in responding to Hurricane Milton recovery, and they have gone out to help others in need in other parts of our state. I just want to give them a huge kudos for all the work they've done. They volunteered to do this. Can we give them a round of applause?
There's another 3D.
There's one more. There's one more. So we have a lot of groups here to thank and recognize. We also have the Utilities Pumping Operation Team for volunteering to help in Hurricane Milton recovery. So our city was all in helping other parts of our state. So thank you. Could they come up as well? This is the pumping operation team, so thank you guys so much. You guys helped alleviate the flooding, so you are greatly, greatly appreciated. So
I'll introduce my team and then
let's do that.
Chief,
and then the
Chief introduce his
yeah.
team.
After which we'll come down.
Thank you. So I have Tremaine Johnson. He is the Division Director for Field Operations. Mark Filsame, he is the Superintendent for Pumping Operations, and Mark led this team. And Stefan Hayes is here. He is one of our mechanics for pumping operations. One of our electricians and 2 other mechanics couldn't join us today, but wanted to thank all of them for the work they did. Tremaine wasn't able to go this time, but he has gone in the past, so he understands what it takes. So I'm very proud of the work they do. And this is all volunteer work that they end up doing. Just get paid general, just work kind of hours. It's not anything extra. And they have to try and figure out lodging there, meals there, so it's not fun. They work almost 12 to 14 hours every day to help the other city, and this time we'd gone to Sanibel.
Don't go anywhere just yet. Chief, tell us about the people in your team and the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing is actually our emergency field force team deployed twice, right after Hurricane Milton to Palmetto to assist with patrol operations. And then a week later, we deployed to Treasure Island and did the same over there as well. In my emergency field force, I have a few people who aren't here today, but there are officers who are trained in large crowd gathering techniques, as well as search and rescue, and of course, they're all certified police officers. So in this particular case, their assistance was, they just provided some support for both police departments because they were exhausted working 24-hour shifts. For the most part, we send them over there. They're self-sufficient, so they're living out of our command trailer, and they bring their barbecue and they make do for a couple of days until the base camps are established. So for the first and foremost, to just brave those conditions. Most of these areas don't have power, they have standing water. So it's obviously an admirable thing to do that, as well as it provides great perspective. I think when you do this job for a good period of time, you don't realize, your purpose. Sometimes it gets lost. And going over there, you see the little things that matter. They were pumping gas and changing tires and handing out water. It's the simple things, but it just reminds you why you did this job in the first place. So just to introduce my team, from big guy in the red is Officer Roberts, Detective Cardenas, Officer Capini, Officer Mitre, and then the officers that weren't here today are Officer Prince. He was part of the second deployment, Sergeant James and Sergeant Corey Herney. Also, one officer I missed was Officer Betancourt, who's not here today either. But it's a great opportunity. Anytime we have the chance to go help out other departments, other cities. A couple years ago, we went out to DeSoto County and Charlotte County and helped out with those efforts as well. So they did a great job.
Thank you. I'm not sure if there's anyone else in the team that'd like to say a few words. If not, we're going to come on down and shake your hand and present the awards. And Chief, if you could, and Dr. Kalkout, let's begin with the awards, all right? Let's come down and shake their hands.
That's for them.
Just so you guys know, I put you all into a meritorious unit.
Thank you. Hey.
Thank you so much.
Let's do the photo, Commissioner Cruz. Yeah, let's do the photo first, and then we'll do that.
Right, certificate. It didn't help that.
Everybody, right here, ready, 1, 2, 3. Ready, 1, 2, 3. And one more, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then, let's do PD separately.
Sure.
What a handshake. I thought I had a handshake. Thank you.
Sir.
Right now, it's picture time.
Oh, again? Whole idea, man. I got a red one myself.
1, 2, 3. One more, 1, 2, 3. One more, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Adam. All right, we've got a phenomenal staff here in Boynton Beach, as you can clearly see. The next portion of the agenda is public audience. The same rules apply as always. It's 3 minutes per person, and then after which we will go to the next person here. And after everyone in the room has finished, we will go to those online. Please remember that this is not a Q&A, but we are taking down notes. If you want a follow-up, we've got staff all around you in the chambers, the city clerk, assistant managers. Okay, so let me switch to the timer. Give me 1 second. You state your name for the record as always and begin when you are ready.
Hello, I'm David Merker. I want to make a declarative statement. Did you know I'm perfect? Well, that's stated in a humorous way because personally and professionally, who and what am I all about? Your health. Listening today to the different guests, the different things they do for people, the one thing that we the people don't do is look in the mirror and realize life is not a straight path. And professionally, for 40 plus years, I've been in the field of Medicare, long-term care, knowing the subject matter of Alzheimer's like the back of my hand. Why? Because in the 1970s, my father had Alzheimer's. So in summation of what I'm trying to say and explain to everyone here is your health is your greatest gift from up above. And it's our responsibility to not only take care of ourselves, but to remind the ones we love that we love you and make sure you're getting the right health care each year. For those who are 65 or older, October 15th to December 7th is open period for Medicare. So I ask you, as my neighbors, as my friends, look in the mirror, think of the people you love, and also, I'm not perfect, but I know what I need to do. And I thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Susan Oyer, Boynton Beach. The newspapers on your desk are from me, in case you hadn't seen them when I put them out. My aunts died, the last aunt died a couple years ago, and I was able to get into their 30-plus year storage facility. Yes, they paid to build that whole facility over all those years. And I found these in a box, and there were like 20 some odd of them, and I thought you guys would appreciate it, because while I know Vice Mayor Kelly's family has been here a long time, Commissioner Hayes has been here for a long time, the rest of you haven't been here, 40, 50 years. So I thought you would appreciate seeing this. And yes, I'll be giving a copy to the historian for the city, the archivist. Hopefully he will start reaching out to me and the other original families. We all talk and go, how come he hasn't reached out to us? Because Georgian always did. But I'll be making the effort. But I thought you guys would appreciate this. For some unknown reason, my aunts kept like 20 some odd copies of these and just for paying storage for 30 some odd years. But I thought you'd appreciate it. And I know City Manager Duggar was just commenting how he wants the tires for $10 that are advertised on the back. And I think you'll find it interesting to read the ads and see how inexpensive food was in 1966. But enjoy, and they're from me, and I hope you enjoy taking a look at them. As you can see, they're exceptionally fragile, so enjoy them while you can. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next speaker. We've got two podiums. We can go back and forth. Good evening, and state your name for the record when you're ready.
Thank you. Linda Cross, 625 Casa Loma Boulevard, Boynton Beach. I'm here representing the captains of two tennis teams. I'm the captain of both of those teams, and I'm here talking about the Boynton Beach Tennis Center. The Boynton Beach Tennis Center right now is in dire straits. It is a situation that requires urgent attention, and the number one issue for tennis players is not what the exterior of the fences looks like or the pro shop or anything else. It's the court conditions, because that's what matters. That's the safety issues. The city gave permit holders and the pros 5 days notice that they were going to close the tennis center for for the month of September, and then gave us 10 days notice that you were going to close it for the month of October. We received an email that said November 4th they were going to open partially, and 6 courts did open, but there are 17 hard true courts, 2 hard courts, and 6 pickleball courts. None of those, obviously we only have, right now, I think we have 8 courts that are open. This has affected 5 South Palm Beach County Women's Tennis Association division teams, which is roughly about 60 or 70 women. It also has affected 2 teams for men's and women's ladders, which is about another 64 players. These teams the ladder teams been told they can't start until January. They have been missing their whole season. We've been nomads. We've been going from Delray to some neighborhood courts in Boynton to Lake Worth for practice, for clinics. But we are all still committed to staying at the Boynton Beach Tennis Center. The status today is that some of the courts are open, but they are in very poor condition. We have a couple of city employees that were hired and started on October 14th, even though the courts, the maintenance contractor was terminated, or he terminated his contract the end of August. It took until October 14th to get any maintenance done on the courts. But they are in very subpar condition and do not represent at all any public courts that we can even find anywhere else. The Boynton Beach Tennis Center could be the gem of Boynton Beach for the community. It could have events, it could offer youth programs, adult programs. It really needs to be managed in a holistic manner where you have somebody with tennis experience to manage it, to be responsible for the court maintenance, the facility, all the scheduling, everything. Because right now it is not managed that way, and it is very sorely in need of that. But thank you very much, and I appreciate your attention.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing that to our attention. All right, next speaker, if you're ready, either one. We've got 2 podiums. We can always take turns. Let me switch the time. Okay, state your name for the record and begin when you're ready.
Hi, good evening. I'm Lisa Donato. So when I planned on coming here tonight to complain, I didn't realize it'd be a love fest. Congratulations to everybody tonight, but I'm going to complain anyway. I just purchased a $750,000 house in Gulfview Harbor, and I'm in the process of renovating it. Hopefully, I'm contributing to, upgrading, appreciating the value of the neighborhood. So the city started in this neighborhood paving the roads in the entranceway, kind of climbing in, and then stopped halfway through, leaving the roads looking terrible other than what you guys started and completed. So I called Angela, left her a message on her voicemail, called a couple of the other commissioners. The other commissioners did call me back. Then I spoke to Kevin Ramsey. I got a voicemail from or Moses, I'm not sure, and he said that the city ran out of funds. And then I got a call back from Kevin, and he said, well, no, the holdup is the utilities department because they still have to come into the neighborhood. So I called the utilities department, and I spoke to them, and they said, no, that's not the case. There's nothing holding up this job from completion. So they said they have no plans, and I have it in an email, to go in there for future years, and it's just maintenance. So I'm here this evening to find out, or to address this, to find out what's really going on, why the roads weren't completed, and to get this project completed now. So if you guys would like to reach out to me, I've left a voicemail on everyone's phone and everyone's voicemails, except for yours, I believe, Mayor. And I'll continue to do that until I can get some answers and we can get this project completed.
Thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. We will work with our staff, our managers here to coordinate the action. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. I'm Donna Burnett, and I live at 5741 Descartes Circle in Boynton Beach. And I'm a retired Palm Beach County school teacher. Pretty much physical education has been my whole life and activity. It's something I really believe in. And I'm a member of the Boynton Beach Tennis Center, and I'm here not to complain, but just to give it an uplift of we're losing people, we're losing the kids, the youth, and everything because it hasn't been opened. It opened up late. We always understand that there's problems and situations, but people are running away from it instead of back into tennis and the whole facility down there. So I'm just asking, can we do something? We're at the point now that it really needs to be done, okay? The courts are a mess, even though the workers have been there, but just deeply concerned. There's quite a few hundred people that play there, use the facilities, but we're still missing out on a lot of things that are going on there that could be. And I would just hope that you would really maybe hire somebody of some director that would just oversee the tennis center. I've done that. I'm not looking for a job, retired, just want to play my tennis. okay? But it truly needs a director of tennis and operations to oversee the entire thing. So just want to give a shout out that maybe that could happen. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Terrell. I'm also here to talk about the Boynton Beach Tennis Center. It truly is a gem of this community, not just Boynton Beach, but the surrounding community. We're very fortunate to have it, but I feel like it is really in jeopardy because it hasn't had the attention that it needs. I think it was very well intended, but we are falling well below where we need to be with such a beautiful facility. I have been a member of the Boynton Beach Tennis Center for 7 years. I'm the captain of a couple of women's doubles teams. I'm here to speak on behalf of my fellow teammates about the current conditions. We're really brokenhearted because it is in a poor state, and not to say that people haven't really tried hard. The staff there have really poured their hearts and souls into it, but I think it's really very under-resourced and doesn't have the expertise to really get that job done as it needs to be to really be a safe and effective tennis center. The 2 months of closures that we just went through were very difficult for us, and it did not really help advance the conditions of the courts as much as it needs to. It's really frustrating because we know it can be fixed, but the current approach really lacks the needed expertise and resources to make it happen. We love the tennis center. It is a wonderful place. It needs to be preserved and cared for, and we are committed to its success, and we desperately need your help to make that happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, I'm Ellen Wiedemann, and I live at 8285 Savara Streams Lane here in Boynton Beach. I am also a member of the tennis center, and I am a member of the teams that I play on. I've been playing there for 7 years, and I agree with the sentiments of everybody else. It seemed kind of strange to me that you were going to close the tennis center and revive it and fix the courts, and yet all of them were closed, and we couldn't play on it for months at a time. I don't know of any other facility that would have closed all the tennis courts at the same time. They would have done 2 here, 2 there, 2 there, until the courts were finished. So for months, we had nowhere to play. We had to go to other HOAs and find it, and it was a scramble. Even today, there are, 8 courts that are in session, and we're not able to get enough courts for our teams to play on, and we're still scrambling around to try to find other courts to play on. So I really think, again, the way everybody else has said, that this really needs to be addressed. I enjoy playing there. When I first moved here from Illinois 8 years ago, this is where my friends are. This is where I play. This is what I do for a living. This is what I do for exercise. And I think we're missing out on a lot of opportunities in having a premier tennis center available to Boynton Beach and elsewhere for when we play in our leagues. So thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Steve Wiedemann. I consider myself, I live in western Boynton Beach, just in the Canyon Trails subdivision. I consider myself a very avid tennis player. I'm with this last crew of people here, more or less, to speak about the tennis center. I've been a member of the men's ladder leagues, the social tennis, pickup tennis, played in a lot of the events there. We all love playing there, but we're all a little disappointed lately about the current condition and the way it's been run. I won't get into all the details, but we're hoping that you guys would put it on your agenda for something that needs to be given some special attention so we can enjoy it the way we used to. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. And I see there's one more person in the audience. Come on up. Oh, 2 more people. All right. We've got 2 podiums. Somebody begin.
Hello. My name is Charles Hunt. I'm a resident in Rolling Green. I'm also a retired military personnel who have fought basically all my life for my country. And now I feel that I'm having to fight for my rights as a homeowner. I've went through all the channels that was available. Matter of fact, I spoke at the last meeting that was at the police station a couple of weeks ago. And I was told that we would be relieved. But it's not only me, it's several other people who's being basically railroaded. In Rolling Green, we have an individual, Officer Airman, whom we don't think is being fair. He's writing us up for things that's not on the if I had something on the agenda or on the ordinance or whatever, I would be happy to abide by. I'm used to abiding by rules and regulations. But at this particular time, I'm being overran and written up. For example, I got written up for something on my carport less other than a car. This is nowhere else in the United States. Not hardly even in Boynton, except in my neighborhood where I am, not even next door to me. I'm being charged $75 a day since January 18th because I did what I was told I could do. I would like to leave these with you also. You can see what my house looked like. And my desk that I was using for business and so forth, I blocked it off with this visor.
All right, sir, thank you so much. Just leave it with the city clerk and she'll distribute it to all of us. All right?
Okay, and please,
Thank you.
get involved.
Thank you.
I've been everywhere else.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you. We appreciate your time. All right, next person. All right, state your name for the record whenever you're ready.
Cindy Falco di Corrado. As of October 17th, it's been 225 days later in which I finally received all of my discovery from the incident that happened here in this room where I was attacked in a hate crime personally upon me on March the 5th, 2024. Today being November the 19th, 2024, I'm here tonight to reiterate and to put on the record and to also share with you that I will be suing the City of Boynton Beach and the Boynton Beach Police Department as a courtesy to let you know. I also would like to let those that were here that night of March 5th at the County Commissioner meeting that they will be being subpoenaed to come and testify on what you witnessed that night as I was sitting over there on March the 5th, 2024. It's, again, a little bit disheartening for me because as I said, I received another document from a supposedly corrected incident report, and I noticed on the incident report that as a corrected incident report, when I inquired if it was told about it, it was in already the month of September. And the person who signed that as an officer, Sean, I believe is his first name, he dated it May 22nd. So there's just so much wrong that's being done that needs to be really corrected. And I hope that from all of this that the police department and other facilities and government officials will correct themselves so that many of us, we the people, will not have to go through these discrepancies and these deceits and go through the hardship that I went through. Again, today being November the 19th, 2024, I was, as a courtesy, letting each and every one of you know that you will be being subpoenaed, whoever was in the room that evening of March the 5th, and that I will be suing the City of Boynton Beach and the Boynton Beach Police Department. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else in the chambers? Otherwise, we'll go to those online. Let me look at the list online. And I see no active speakers. All right, with that, public audience is now closed. Commissioner Cruz, yes.
Can I make a brief comment?
Absolutely.
I heard a lot of public comment this evening with regard to the tennis courts. And as mentioned during public comment, the tennis courts conditions need urgent improvement to ensure that our facilities meet the needs and expectations of our residents. I propose that we direct our staff to negotiate with a vendor who specializes in enhancements and programming for tennis facilities. The goal is to explore options that will elevate the experience for our residents without placing an undue burden on our budget. By taking this step, we can upgrade the courts, investing in better lighting, and enhancing our programming to attract more residents and to improve the current conditions of the residents that are not able to go to the courts right now and enjoy what they're supposed to be able to enjoy. So I do want to see if I have consensus to add that to a future agenda for my colleagues.
Thank you, Commissioner Cruz. We've heard from many people here today, and I couldn't agree more in that we do need to do something to make sure that we get the ball rolling. I know staff has been working to renovate and improve the facility, but I know that it is one of our gems in the city. For example, and I can't remember the full name, but we had an international tennis event right there, right in our city, and we need to make sure that we grow and we invest in this. So I'm open to options. I want to hear more. Vice Mayor, you were about to say something as well.
Thank you. Yeah, and this isn't the first time at public comment that we've heard that I've received emails with regard to the tennis courts, and I have worked with our Parks and Rec and Andrew Mack, and so this isn't the first time I've heard about it, and so I would like to, though I feel like we're jumping, putting the cart before the horse, I would like to hear from staff maybe at the next agenda, the next meeting, on what the plans are,
An update.
to move forward, an update on what the status is, what the plan is, because I know we've had some staffing issues, we've had some other things come up, maintenance, employees and stuff. So I feel like we're putting the cart before the horse, talking about vendors and things like that. I would like to hear from staff on what the status is and what the plan is, and what our
Options.
but what staff has, what they're working on, because as I understand it, we just hired 2 new employees and we're making headway. So I would like to hear from staff and get an update on the plans for the tennis court and the tennis center.
City Manager, it looks like you were about to say, or did you want to chime in? Or did
Yes,
you want to
Mayor.
wait?
I do appreciate the comments. I know I've seen multiple pictures of the tennis courts, and I in total agreement, and we have to look at making sure that we bring those facilities up to a standard that is going to be acceptable not only to us as a city, but also to the community. So I know me and Deputy City Manager Mack, we've brainstormed. We met with quite a few people about the cost that it was going to be to actually bring those courts up. There's going to be a monetary cost that we'll bring back to this body for approval. It'd have to be added to the CIP budget. I don't think we have anything budgeted as far as monies right now. I want to say, what did we say, Andrew? I want to say it was $120,000 approximately per court. So, and I want to say we have 17 courts, but how many are in disrepair, or is
All of them, technically.
okay? So yeah, we'd have to bring those numbers back to this to the body, and we'd have to definitely have a discussion as far as like what the overall cost is going to be and whether or not we want to bring in a third party to actually do the maintenance and from this point forward, and talk about the overall operations of the tennis center. I know for as long as I've been here, it's definitely been something that's a constant issue that keeps on coming up every few years. So.
Thank you, City Manager. I certainly don't expect staff to give a complete detailed update right here, right now.
Yeah, right.
But I think an update perhaps at the next meeting. What's the assessment of the situation? Where are we with the timeline? What are some options that you can bring before the board to improve the programs and the facilities I'm open to all kinds of things, right? Ultimately, I just want to make sure that we're up to standards and we invest in this area. So,
Yep. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner, yes,
Yeah,
go
just to
ahead.
follow up on that, yes. I wanted to get some staff recommendations because clearly we have a lot of people showing up here today. As Commissioner Kelly stated, there's been emails and conversations with staff. So it is a legitimate concern and it's something that needs urgent attention. So, thank you.
I'm sorry, public audience is now closed. Commissioner Hayes, your turn. And we'll
Yes, I do agree with what's been said about the tennis center. However, I do want to add another item for staff to bring back some answers for, and that is the young man that spoke. I think his name was Charles Hunt.
That's right.
I went by his house more than once, and I agree with him that there are some other properties right around his house that are much worse than his house. So I would like to know, why is he being charged $75 a day and the others, as I understand it, are not? So it's just a matter of being fair. So if staff could, by our next meeting, give me some answers on that so I can be clear on what's going on. And I don't know his address right now, but I don't know if he's still in the audience. Charles Hunt, is he still?
I'm sure we have it.
I think
We have it
Candace
on
spoke to
file.
him.
Okay,
We have his
him on
address.
file.
We have his address.
And Candace
Ms.
did
Stone
speak
went
to
to go
him.
speak to him after the meeting, or just now, so we'll have an update.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I can update you right now, Candace Stone, Community Standards Director. There's multiple properties, and every property has been, around there has been cited as well. Most of them going through the process, the enforcement process, and some of them have already been through special magistrate. So it's not a matter of being singled out. It is consistent across there.
Now, as I passed by his house, I could not see that table that he was discussing. There was a car there, but I couldn't see the table and all that. I need clarity on the rules, so I'll talk with you about that. We don't need to take up the time now to go over the rules and regulation, but there just seems to be some disparity here in my eyes on what I see across the street, next door, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and his place. So
Yep.
we'll chat so I can get some clarity, okay?
No problem. We can meet later. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Hay, for bringing that up. But I don't want to lose track of the original request by the commissioner here to my right. But I completely support it as well. And I'd like to ask our management staff and Ms. Stone if you could share the updates with me as well. Or share it with the whole board. Okay.
Yeah, with the
All
whole
right.
board.
Thank you. And before we move on to Commissioner Turkin, Commissioner Hay, were you in support of bringing staff, having staff come back with us with an update and some options?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. Commissioner Turkin, you're next.
Yeah, I'm in support of identifying the issues at the tennis center. This is something that was brought up to me, I think, last spring. And I actually did talk to Andrew about this. And then at the budget, you know, there was 2 additional, I guess, salaries added, positions added. So I think we need to be mindful to that as well. I don't know if that's something that vendor, whoever that vendor is going to be, could incorporate. But I definitely don't want to spend money and then, you know, spend more money. So I'm definitely in favor to look at options. The other thing I wanted to add is, as we go through the discussion for the artificial turf potential ordinance, looking at how we can look at prior fines or violations for residents. I don't know if that's a practice that cities usually do. If there's a change in ordinance and people are being fined or violated, and it is allowed to maybe eliminate those liens, if there's liens, whatever the case may be. So looking at how many violations we've had, what those costs are, and seeing what we can do for people if we're moving in that direction, a part of the next presentation.
All right, thank you so much, everybody. All right, let's continue on if there's nothing else. The next portion of the agenda is Administrative 5A Community Support Funds. Earlier this evening, I did ask, I just want to make sure I update Commissioner Turkin, that I did ask that 500 of my community support funds be allocated to the city's Holiday Basket Initiative, and that was the add to it. We have several requests. Let me just pull them up one at a time so we process it one at a time. So, first, holiday baskets requested by Commissioner Cruz. I may have a motion to approve that request.
So moved.
Second.
All right, there's a second. All in favor of approving the $500 allocation from Commissioner Cruz's community support funds to the holiday dinner basket, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Likewise, is there a motion to approve my request of $500?
So moved.
To the same
Second.
item? All right. All those in favor of approving the request, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion passes unanimously. The next request here is to Youth in Faith LLC, Santa Lucia's High School. This is a request for $500 of Commissioner Turkin's community support funds. May I have a motion to approve that?
To approve.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second from Vice Mayor. All those in favor of the request, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. $1,000 request from Commissioner Hay to Pathways to Prosperity. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Vice Mayor, second from Commissioner Cruz. All those in favor of approving the request, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes unanimously. And the very last item, $500 requested by Commissioner Cruz to Pace Center for Girls. May I have a
So
motion?
moved.
Second.
We have a motion. I heard a second from Commissioner Hay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. There were no objections. Motion passes unanimously. All requests approved. We're now moving on to the advisory board appointments, and let me pull up the list. We do have one applicant for the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. Looking at the list, this is a citizen who is actively engaged in the banking or mortgage banking industry in connection with affordable housing. These criteria are not set by us. So that would go to you, Vice Mayor Kelly, if you would like to make a nomination, because you have, is that correct? Yes.
No, it's
No,
Commissioner Turkin.
it's
the one
banking.
who
Oh,
has
that's
that.
correct. Commissioner Turkin, it is your nomination, if you would like to make one. The Affordable Housing Committee, yep. All right, we have a motion to nominate Cheryl Banks, and there's a second from Commissioner Hay. All those in favor of approving the nomination of Cheryl Banks to the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations to Ms. Banks. We have openings in the Art Advisory Board, in the Building Board of Adjustments and Appeals, the Education and Youth Advisory Board, Historic Resources Preservation Board, Recreation and Parks, Senior Advisory Board, and that is it. So there's plenty of opportunities for the citizens to jump on in and get involved with the city. So thank you so much. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. Under consent, are there any items that my colleagues would like to pull for discussion? Take a moment to look through it one more time. If there's no request, I'll entertain a motion to approve at any moment once you're ready.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Turkin. We have a second from Commissioner Hay. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda in its entirety, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Let's turn now to consent bids and purchases over $100,000. Take a moment to look through the list one more time, if there's any request. No request? May I have a motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Turkin and a second from Commissioner Hay for the consent bids and purchases over $100,000. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. We're now moving on to the next portion of the agenda. I just want to double check I didn't miss anything. Now to public hearing. Our very first item here is 8A. This is proposed ordinance number 24-023. It is second reading. So I'm going to turn to our city clerk to read. I am so sorry in advance. It's a lengthy title.
Wow. First and last sentence.
Yeah.
Do whatever's legally necessary.
I could do it if you want to.
If you're losing your voice, I'll do it, but if you got it, I got it. Yeah, you sound even better.
I could do it. It's
All
okay.
right. Thank you, city clerk.
Okay. Proposed ordinance number 24-023, second reading, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 26,
Water, Sewers, Utilities, Article 4, Sewers, Division 4, Industrial and Commercial Waste, Subdivision D, Use of Public Sewers by creating Section 26-147.5 entitled Dental Facilities that Remove or Replace Amalgam Fillings, providing for local implementation of the effluent limitations, guidelines, and standards for dental category adopted by the state of Florida, providing for conflict, severability, codification, and an effective date. And then proposed ordinance 24-024, second reading, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amended the Code of Ordinances of the City of Boynton Beach, Chapter 26, Water, Sewers, and Utilities, Article 4, Sewers, Division 4, Industrial and Commercial Waste, Subdivision, General Provisions, Section 26-115, abbreviations and definitions to adopt definitions for hazardous waste, pharmaceuticals, healthcare facility, pharmaceutical, and reverse distributor, and to correct order amending Chapter 26, Water, Sewers, and Utilities, Article 4, Sewers, Division 4, Industrial and Commercial Waste, Subdivision D, Use of Public Sewers, Section 26-142, prohibited discharges to sewers, and to add hazardous waste pharmaceuticals to the list of substances prohibited from being introduced to the city's treatment works, providing for conflict, severability, codification, and an effective date.
Can we give her a round of applause? Here she is losing her voice, and thank you, City Clerk. I'm not sure, perhaps.
2 minutes.
Dr. Calcott, I see you're here at the podium. Do you want to give us a brief overview? And for the audience, this is a second reading. There's two separate ordinances. We'll have public comment for both ordinances at the same time. Dr. Calcott, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone, again. Poonam Kalkat, Utilities Director. There's no change from the first reading. This is basically just housekeeping that we have to do. These rules are already in place. We've been following them. And we have informed all the dental offices just so that they're aware. But just so you know, none of the dentists these days use this amalgam. And this is just to make sure that that amalgam, if somebody uses it, is not discharged into sewer, as well as any pharmaceuticals that get any kind of regulations are not discharged into the sewer. So this is just a change in the ordinance that we are required to do from DEP.
All right, thank you. Were there any questions from my colleagues for Dr. Calcott? All right, let's go to public comments. All right, again, this is for both proposed ordinance 24-023 and 24-024. If you'd like to speak on any of these two items or both, now is the time to approach the podium. Seeing no one approaching the podium and seeing no one online, public comments on this item is now closed. With that, I will entertain a motion to approve in a second. We have a motion from Commissioner Turkin and a second from Commissioner Hay. All right, City Clerk, let's begin with roll call, and this is for the first ordinance. We'll do one ordinance at a time.
Commissioner Hay?
Yes.
Commissioner Turkin?
Yes.
Commissioner Cruz?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Penserga?
Yes.
In a roll call vote, the motion passed unanimously.
All right, now this is for the next ordinance, 24-024. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And a second. We have a motion from Vice Mayor and a second from Commissioner Cruz. Let's begin the roll call.
Commissioner Hay?
Yes.
Commissioner Turkin?
Yes.
Commissioner Cruz?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Penserga?
Yes.
In a roll call vote, the motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on to the city manager's report, we are to receive an update on the status of future agenda items. Let me turn now to our city manager and/or the deputy city manager, either one. Go ahead.
I know you, hopefully you guys had a chance to view the attachment. We have a total of 6 items. You're going to be receiving the presentation from Dr. Calcott tonight on the utilities that was requested by the mayor. We'll go through item A that's on the docket right now as far as being presented February 18th, 2025. That's a discussion regarding our procurement policies and procedures. We do have the new procurement division director, Andrew. Andrew, are you here? Aha, there he is. He's in the back. So Andrew's been working diligently with our procurement and legal team to try to facilitate a lot of the needs and changes and updates. We've met with him. He's really been bringing a lot of wealth of knowledge as far as to that department. He's going to be meeting with you guys in preparation for that presentation as well. B is a discussion regarding the rapid rehousing program with the mayor. Again, staff's gonna definitely need some more direction as far as like from the presentation standpoint with the mayor. I know Candace, my chief of staff, Candace Wall, she's gonna be working on that with RJ. C, discussion regarding combining city properties. This is another one of the mayor's initiatives, and I believe you were talking about vacant lots or some properties that can be combined for senior affordable housing.
So there's senior affordable housing and a need for a grocery store. They could be separate, they could be combined, and that was the intent of that item. Yeah, wherever we can put them in a appropriate location, of course.
Now, how much do we have? What funds do we have in the in lieu of the workforce housing, Adam? Because I know we were talking about maybe looking at using some of that the money in that fund.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission, Adam Temple, Assistant City Manager. I'm not aware, Mr. Manager, on the current balance, but we are projecting a significant injection in workforce housing in lieu of funds, hopefully over this next year as development comes online.
Thank you. I'm definitely going to bring this back up with the commission here. Regardless of any specific projects, it's not about specific projects, more so that I'd like for us to develop a policy on how those funds are used. So there's criteria and guidelines and not just something we do off the cuff. You know, what qualifies, what are, you get the idea. So we'll do a follow-up conversation on that because obviously this is important. All right, let's keep going. Thank you.
So we'll move on to D now, discussion regarding amendments to the code ordinance regarding flooding in the community. This is an item brought forth by Commissioner Cruz for discussion. It says, yeah, I believe there's more additional discussions that you're going to schedule with staff. So
Schedule a meeting and find the right date for them. They were out of
a
town,
lot of
so.
stuff, NLC meetings, conferences, things like that. I know everyone's been really busy. So, but we're I think if you guys remember, we went from like I think we were all the way down and close to U or X or Y at one point. So kudos to Andrew, who's really taking the bull by the horns as far as figuring out a way to really pare down the list and get a lot of these discussion items off the future agenda list. E, this is something that for me, I was looking at possibly maybe with the legal department, looking at the ordinance overall as opposed to reopening any sort of CBA contracts when it's regarding pay. Especially with community standards. I don't believe they're housed in our hazard pay like our first responders are. I believe utilities is in there as well, and public works, correct? So it's something that we could house in our ordinance, which essentially would then like still accomplish the same exact thing by not reopening the CBA. That's my take. I think that would probably be something we could get accomplished relatively quickly, and just make them essential personnel. I know during Hurricane Milton, and they were really out there quite a bit. So, F, last item, discussion regarding requirements for advisory board appointments. This is Vice Mayor Kelly, and did you have that meeting this week, Vice Mayor?
I have not yet, but it's
Okay.
on the horizon.
So yeah, so that's something that Maylee, our city clerk, she's working on. So a lot of these items we're going to be able to knock out. The only thing I think the 2 or 3 biggest items are going to be the rapid rehousing program, the affordable housing, and then the procurement policy is probably going to take the majority of the work. So I'm open to any questions you guys may have as far as the future agenda items, and me and Andrew, either one.
Thank you. I don't have any particular questions right now. We need to have some one-on-ones first. But I did just want to share something with my colleagues that could be a future conversation. If you've driven over the Ocean Avenue Bridge, I know the lights have been out. So at some point, I just wanted to have a conversation with all of us, what more we can do to enhance that bridge. I think, Andrew, was that you? I had preliminary conversations about the bridge. I had it with staff, it's been a while. And really, that's not just about the lighting, but it could be part of our previous discussion about entryways, right? That bridge is one of our entryways into the city. I think we should, put up some lights that point upwards. It could change colors. It could be depending on the holiday or the season. It's a big marker for us, and I just want to make sure we highlight those assets. But we'll circle back on that. All right. But I just wanted to share that with my colleagues so it's on everyone's radar. Commissioner, go ahead.
No, I think that's a great idea. This is something I've been barking at Andrew about for a long time because they work, they don't work, and, it definitely ties into uniformity with the lights that we discussed at the last meeting, so I totally support that.
Yeah, I think we could just combine that with the
Yeah.
other presentation.
We do have a project that the CRA is funded.
Yep.
So we already have a project. I believe they're almost ready to, or have bids ready to execute on it. As well as Ocean Ridge is doing the lights on their side up to Federal Highway. One of the questions that we'll need to bring back, and it was kind of alluded to a couple meetings ago, is the color of the lights. I think we have different opinions, so that is something that we'll be bringing back to you probably at the next meeting to discuss the project and the colors. So that'll probably be at the next meeting.
Okay. Just to be clear, this is the color of the light poles.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, that's important too for coherence purposes. We discussed that. But, in terms of the actual lights themselves, I think.
Right now, that project includes painting all the poles and replacing the pole components.
Right.
We're not replacing the actual pole itself, but all the lights.
The poles itself are.
Correct.
Good. All right. That's great to hear, Commissioner.
I think either before or during that conversation, maybe we can send out a survey and see what the people would like to, because I think I get a lot of feedback from residents all over the city saying they should be this color, they should be this color. So I think if we get some data, that'd be great, and then we can ultimately make that decision.
That's a good idea. All right. Anything else from my colleagues on any of these items here? Vice Mayor?
I guess my only piggyback to that, Commissioner Turkin, is that maybe we can actually see what they looked like when they were originally put in and the color they were, because I do like the aqua. I think it goes with what our color is. And so maybe if we can actually see what they looked like when they were fresh and painted and go from there too as like a comparison. But I did want to, if I can just
go ahead,
piggyback,
go ahead.
I wanted to add a future agenda item since we're talking about this. We kind of touched on it briefly. Adam, I would like to circle back with your team on affordable housing and what we can do to, we changed some things, we added some things to enhance, attraction to bring affordable housing in, and I feel like we're really not attracting that as much as we could, and it could just be that because the focus is on Ocean Avenue, that's more, market rate because of the location to the ocean and everything. But I would like to see what other cities are doing in a comparison to see if there are things that we can do and change to attract more, affordable housing within the city. So if we could talk about that, that would be great.
Let's include that. All right. Any objections? All right. No objections.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, everybody. If there's nothing else, we're going to keep moving forward. The next portion of the agenda, Dr. Calcutt, I believe you're up. This is an update on future upgrade plans for water treatment plants to meet future drinking water regulations. Thank you so much. I know this is something I brought up with you a while ago, and then it came up separately in our most recent meeting, I believe. Take it away.
Good evening, everyone, again. Poonam Calcutt, Director of Public Utilities for City of Boynton Beach. I'm going to give you a brief overview of where we are, where we're going, but please stop me if you have questions, because didn't want to make this into so much information that it's hard to kind of talk through in this meeting, but I can always bring things back to us too. Just briefly about, we've got 2 water treatment plants. There is an east water treatment plant that's right on the corner of Seacrest and Woolbright. That's a 24 million gallon per day rated capacity plant. It was built in 1963, and there have been multiple upgrades in between, so it's not like that everything is 1963, but it is an older plant. It's a conventional treatment process. What I mean by that is there's lime softening in there, there's filtration, and then recently, last couple of years back, a magnetic ion exchange resin process was put in place for treatment. So that's called MIAX. On the west side, the West Water Treatment Plant, that's on Boynton Beach Boulevard, just west of.
Dr. Concat,
Military
I'm
Drive.
sorry.
Yes.
I told myself I would wait a little bit longer. I just wanted to share just a teeny bit of history because I think it's a really cool piece of information. That MIAX system, when I first got elected 5 years ago, approximately 5 years ago, we actually had a Japanese delegation that came to Boynton Beach. They wanted to study how that was working and how we were using it. So I think that's a point of pride. So for them to want to come here to study us. So anyways, keep going.
No, I didn't know that, so glad to get that piece of history too. So the Wastewater Treatment Plant is just west of Military on Boynton Beach Boulevard. It's 10.4 million gallons per day rated capacity. It was built in 1993, and it's a nanofiltration membrane treatment, so it is more advanced in comparison to the East Water Treatment Plant. And as we walk through some of these things, you'll understand why that's important, and that may be technology that we might be going in future towards because of some of the regulations that have come up. Just wanted to give you a brief kind of overview of what regulations are coming and why we are doing some of the projects that we are getting into right now. So Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, sets limits for a number of contaminants in drinking water. There's a Safe Drinking Water Act that was put in and enacted by Congress in 1974. And that basically set up what kind of things can be, what standards can be for different analytes and different compounds in the drinking water. And over time, other things have been added. And EPA has a process called Unregulated Contaminant Monitoring Rule, and that just basically is a way for them to look at anything that they think might have a health issue or may cause health issues, and they put it on a UCMR list, and then it's utilities all through the states are required to sample for that. They collect data, and based on that, they come up with certain standards. Per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFOS, PFOA, you might have heard of these terms. They're also called forever chemicals. These are chemicals that were identified as what are called emerging contaminants. So the UCMR rule allows you to collect data and then look at whether there is a problem with any compound that could be in water. So just start talking about this, but as we go forward, you'll see that it's not just in the water, it's in different areas. So in 3M in 1949 actually started producing some of these compounds. These are chemicals, these are manufactured synthetic compounds that were produced. And it's mainly, if you think about anything that can have water resistant, stain resistant, any kind of soil resistant, anything that can be sort of, you can clean it easily in some respects. That kind of coatings was what these products were going to be doing. So as we talk through, you'll see some of the examples of where we have it. In 2009, health advisories were established for PFOA, PFOS, and just so you know, these compounds have evolved. So some of the compounds, PFOA, PFOS, they no longer can be manufactured in states, and most of the, I think pretty much everywhere in the world except for a couple of places in the world that still produce it. But they've been banned. But other compounds have kind of evolved from these previous ones. And the other thing, you heard me say forever chemicals, so they break down and they stay in the environment. So destroying them is not so easy. So that's another part of why the accumulations happened. In 2012, 2016, these health advisories were revised, so the compound, what the standards, not the standard, but how much amount they could be in drinking water has changed over time. So it used to be a couple of hundred, I think it was 400 parts per trillion for PFOA initially, in 2009 advisories, and 200 parts per trillion for PFOS, 400 for PFOA, just to tell you the scales of how things have changed. In 2012, 2016, these came down to around 70
parts per trillion. And just recently, March of last year, 2024, EPA has updated and created a PFAS rule, and they've set some contaminant levels. So now PFAS and PFOA are 4 ppt, 4 parts per trillion. And they have also created what's called a hazard index, which is combination of a couple of these elements should not go over 1. So I can go through it more in detail if you want, but just to give you some idea of where we're coming from and where we've landed. Like I said, it's a category of chemicals that were used in industry and consumer products and since the 1940s. PFAS have characteristics that make them very useful in a variety of products, including nonstick cookware, waterproof clothing, firefighting foam, as well as in many other manufacturing processes, say, for example, for when they are doing, for metal kind of fixing and metal mist suppressants in some of the metal plating industry. This has been very commonly used. And they tend to break down, like I said, very slowly in the environment and can over time build up in people, animals, as well as environment. So that's why they're called forever chemicals. And just to tell you something that as they've started testing, pretty much, I think over 99%, and they just say that 99% is probably 100%, everybody in the world has it in their blood right now. So it's not something that is impacting you right now, right away, but it is something over time it can accumulate and can be hazardous to our health. And even though some specific PFAS have been largely phased out due to health and environmental concerns, they may still be found in the environment and in drinking water. Where can it be found? Like I was talking about, any facility that stores aqueous film-forming foams, such as Department of Defense, airports, fire training facilities, oil refineries, fire stations, et cetera. And obviously, these are getting phased out, but they're there in everything. Like I talked about chrome plating.
Sorry, can I ask, before you go to that, can I, as far as fire stations and fire training, how do we as a city get ahead of that so that we're not contributing? Because we're doing so much on the water side to enhance our, our system so that it's to meet obviously what the requirements are, but to pull out that PFAS. But what are we doing as a city to phase out, and what are our options and alternatives as far as, when I see fire training facilities and fire stations, I know if those are things that are being used at our facilities, what are some of our options alternatively, and are we trying to phase those in? Are we being proactive, or are we just kind of doing status quo? Because what I don't want to see is that we're just kind of doing what we're allowed to do until we're not allowed to do it anymore, as opposed to being proactive and trying to phase out where we can so that we're not contributing to the problem.
Right, and I was going to talk a little bit about the number of rules and regulations already in place, like air emission rules, Safe Drinking Water Act. There's also something called Comprehensive Environmental Response and Compensation Liability Act. It's called CERCLA, basically for any sites that are contributing to producing this, and they can be sued for making sure that they are cleaning those sites up. There's also something called Resource Recovery and Conservation Act. It's called RECRA. There are lots of acronym in our industry, so I apologize for that. But that's basically waste management piece. That's also regulated. Clean Water Act, so nobody can discharge some of these things into streams and oceans and canals and so on and so forth and lakes. And that was what, if you've followed PFAS and PFOA over the years, that's really what some of these manufacturing plants like 3M and others were discharging in certain areas. So certain Midwest states have a lot of those manufacturing plants, and so there were some discharges, and that's what cued people into the health hazards of this. So to answer your question, yes, there are a number of things that we can do. The fire departments are already phasing these out.
so they're not getting put out in the environment. And as I talk through, you'll see that there are certain slides that tell you how it seeps into everything. Obviously, ultimately, whatever we discharge. So when we tell people, don't throw things in the stormwater drains, there's a reason, because it's going to come in and pretty much the water cycle is going to bring it up somewhere or the other, whether it's in your groundwater or it's in your surface water like canals, lakes, or your ocean outfalls. So, and that's why there are ocean outfalls. Again, those discharges, all of those discharges are being really prohibited or being phased out. So whether we've completely phased it out, no, not yet, but we are getting there, and that's the push.
Great, thank you.
So I'll definitely make sure that I talk to the fire department a little bit more and see where we are with any of those.
Thank you.
And as I mentioned here, it's been detected in landfill leachates, wastewater, stormwater. It's actually been in Alaska in the rain also. So definitely, it's getting down as the manufacturing and discharges and some of this kind of like free-for-all kind of thing has been stopped in the last couple of decades more and more. Consumer products like nonstick cookware, food packaging, so anything like if you have microwavable popcorn and the paper is all kind of waxy, it could have some of this coating in there. Cleaning products, water-resistant fabrics, styrofoam containers, wildlife, food, everything has some level of this. And when you think about water-resistant fabrics, that's another way it's coming into the wastewater. So when people wash their clothes, then that can be discharged into the sewer system. So wastewater plants and water plants are really almost like sometimes pass through. It's not anything that we can do about. That's the kind of water you get, and then you have to clean it up. And that's where we're getting into. And then manufacturing air emissions in some of those areas. This is just a very busy slide, but to just kind of reiterate some of the similar things that it cycles through the environment. So you have your industrial discharges by air emissions, that's your A, and that can get into your surface and groundwater. Your wastewater residuals, biosolids, that could be applied in the fields or other places. That's another way it gets in. Firefighting foams, we talked about that. Landfills, leachates out of this. Source water, that can come into the drinking water based on that. Common household products, we already talked about that. And then liquid waste from the wastewater plants and other places like that. So that's why they're not allowed to just discharge into any of the areas just like that. So just wanted to give you a comprehensive look at where all it is and why it's in the environment and why it's circulating in the environment because it doesn't get destroyed. Again, same thing, just kind of giving you an idea. Sometimes it's difficult to imagine, but sometimes products like lipsticks and mascara, because that's waterproof, that can have this dental floss, nail polish. So you think about it, anything and everything pretty much under the sun right now could have some of this product going around. Stain resistance products, firefighting foams, microwave popcorn bags, eye makeup, pizza boxes. So I don't want to go through the whole circle, but pretty much it's everywhere is really the point that I wanted to make sure that everybody understood. Talking a little bit about why we are here. So PFAS rule implementation. April 12, 2024, the final PFAS drinking water rule was adopted with those low amount standards that were set at the 4 PPT and the hazard index. 2027, public water systems must complete the initial monitoring. In 2027, public notifications need to be out about PFAS results that you get. And by 2029, you have to have compliance with PFAS drinking water rule requirement. And public water systems need to comply or they'll be in violation of primary drinking water standards. The city's water sampling program proactively has been working on this and has identified the presence of emerging contaminants like PFAS in raw and finished water at levels below the 2016 health advisory levels, but above the 2029 required levels. And that's why we are making sure that we're doing everything that we need to and we can to get this
get to a place where we don't have this issue at all. The city secured a state revolving fund loan, a principal forgiveness of $5.4 million to evaluate alternatives for improvements to the East Water Treatment Plant to meet PFAS regulatory requirements and potential future drinking water regulations, not just for PFAS and PFAS, but other things too. If there's anything that's coming down the pike, we want to make sure we're addressing it right now with whatever we're planning and whatever design we do for these water treatment plants. And we're going to look at both water treatment plants to see what we need to do. The commission just approved, and thank you for that, that they were, we had put an RFQ out. There were proposals. A selection committee sat down and ranked those proposals and came back to the commission today to get approval for the top-ranked consultant so we can get permission to negotiate with them. We are going to start negotiating tomorrow because I didn't want to lose any time. So I said, can we at least set a meeting? And if the commission doesn't approve, we'll cancel it. But if it approves, at least we can keep moving forward. So we're going to meet with the consultant, get the scope of work, and we're talking to DEP to make sure that we continue to move forward. So the purpose of this is that the selected consultant team will complete a study. They'll evaluate the existing treatment processes at both the East and the West Water Treatment Plant and design what they can recommend for treatment process alternatives for construction based on the evaluation they conduct. We plan to update the commission every 6 months or so, or more if you want, more frequently if you want that, with project timelines and approach, complete the alternative treatment evaluation study and design, look for grants, loans, or issue utility bonds if needed for completing the plant construction projects, determine and implement any interim things that we need to do. Can we bring anything like on skids and do some treatment for the next few years if needed until we get something more permanent in place. We'll continue working with settlement claims that we are working right now to recoup any money from the manufacturers. So that's another reason to be, like what Vice Mayor Kelly was saying, that we are not contributing more to the problem because we can't be recouping, asking manufacturers for settlement money and then continue putting something out that can cause more problems. So what's in place is in place, but if we can reduce anything going forward, that's what our goal is. We're going to issue an RFP for construction of the whatever chosen alternative treatment program that we come up with, and we will bring that to you throughout the time as we're developing that. And commission the water treatment plant with upgraded equipment, structures, and treatment processes to meet the needs. And we are really planning to try and do, my goal is for the next 30, 40 years to get treatment plants in place so that they can meet the requirements and anything else that might be coming down. And then evaluate non-drinking water PFAS regulations also that we may need to address so that we continue doing that side by side. That's all I had, but I'm more than happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Dr. Calcott, thank you so much for this presentation. I just want to take a step back and say the reason I asked for this is because when I saw those EPA guidelines come out, and we saw the numbers today in your presentation, 4 parts per trillion, it's a very, very difficult thing to achieve. I just want to make sure that our city is planning ahead because with that kind of ruling, municipalities everywhere, right? That's something we're all going to have to abide by. What is the plan and how are we going to afford to do that? So that's my pure intention, which is just to make sure we have a plan moving forward so we're not shocked financially in implementing these things. So thank you for the work that you're doing. I see that you're already on a roll, so keep it going, all right? That was it for me. I just wanted to make sure we had a plan. All right, so thank you. And before you leave, I just want to give a shout out to you, Dr. Calcott, and you, Andrew. Thank you for taking the time for showing me around at, I believe it's called ECR. Was it ECR?
No,
the
it
water
was actually
treatment.
the Palm Beach counties.
The
South,
regional,
yeah, west,
go ahead.
yeah, South regional.
Yeah, so
plan
that
they
was
have.
very informative, and I appreciate that. I got a chance to publicly thank you, both of you.
And I want to open invitation to all the commissioners, vice mayor, mayor, for our water treatment plants. We have great chief operators who can really tell you all day long about water treatment if you're interested, but
let me know if you're interested in seeing our treatment plans.
Yep.
Thank you.
Great. I see there's nothing else on the agenda. I just want to confirm, did I miss something? Or is this really it? That's really it. With that, may I have a motion? Go ahead.
Real quick, Mayor, I
Yes.
just want to add something because, I wasn't here in the beginning.
Yes.
I'd like to add a discussion or a presentation of the residency requirements in our city charter to file for election. This has been a problem that has happened years and years and years. And so I just want to look at what do we require, how do we verify residency, and what legal mechanisms do we have to ensure that?
Is that something that the whole commission needs to hear, or is that something staff could just bring to you to answer your question?
Yeah, they can bring it to me, and then,
And if it needs to be brought forward?
You need to brought forward, and, well, maybe we do it all at once, because if I see it, and then, I think we should do it all at once.
Counsel, did you want to chime in?
Answer your question now, or would you like?
No, it
Right.
doesn't have to be right now.
Okay. I was just going to say, currently, there isn't an ordinance or policy in place with regard to how we verify that. And if you look around to other cities, they do have ordinances which are more directive. So if that's something that the commission wants, city staff can certainly compare other things. And if they're interested in a draft ordinance, that's something my office could put together as well.
Just do the work. I have no objection to you looking into it, and if it warrants a whole commission discussion, then we can take it there.
Okay.
Okay? Is that all right with everybody? Any questions? All right. All right. If there's nothing else from my colleagues, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you so much.